Welcome to Saranta. Saranta means principles, and that's what I'm wanting to share here. These are not teachings as much as sharings, because that's all we can do as human beings. And this video is about the ultimate spiritual path, and that is the path of truth. So to know the truth, it can only be known through the knower. We must know who the knower is. Knowing is the experience, and that's what we're all having. Notice that you've never had an experience without experiencing. You are always knowing something. So in order for us to delve deeper into knowing the knower, we need to create a discipline for ourselves. We must be disciples, become disciples. To be a disciple is to have the ability to learn. That's what the root of the word means, to learn. And what you're wanting to learn is your fundamental nature. What are you at your core? We're always saying, who am I? But ultimately, we first need to know, what am I? So to know what we are, we must let go of following, listening to what others say, or even allowing what others think of us to be a problem for us. That is to follow someone. If you're concerned about what others think about you, you are following that person. The ultimate path is to become an individual. And the word individual simply means not divided. When we are undivided, the master and the teacher are one. You see, we are everybody's teacher. We are also everybody's student, which then implies that we are also our own teacher and our own student. That is the ultimate path to truth, because the only truth you can know is what you know through your experience. And the one thing that we all share in common is that we are all experiencing. That is our ultimate fundamental truth. All of us are having an experience from different perspectives, because we truly believe we are the separate self. The ultimate path is a path of no separation. In order for you to become an individual, there can be no separation within you or without you. In order for you to become an individual, there is no longer others. There is just the self. That is why the great teacher and master said, "Love thy neighbor as yourself." It is the discipline of seeing others as yourself, reflections of yourself. And in order to come to the truth of what you are, ultimately you must be willing to surrender. Surrender is letting go of all of the attachments. The attachment is created within us because we believe that everything we see is not ourselves. We are either all that is, or we are not at all. For many say that God is infinite, and that is the defining quality of God. So if God is infinite, there can be no thing outside of God. There can be nothing outside of God, because if there was something outside of God, God would cease to be infinite. There can also be nothing within God that is separate from God, because again, that would render God not infinite. And the defining factor of God is that God is infinite. And so that means that everything that is God, and God is everything. Yet at the same time, God is no thing. Ultimately, God is awareness, pure consciousness itself. And therefore, everything that we perceive is simply a rendering of awareness. It is an expression of awareness, yet it is not awareness itself. To go into a state of pure awareness is to go into a state of pure intensity, and that you are in the pure intention of being aware. And when you are aware, you see and witness in its purest form. And when you are aware, you are present. You are beyond time. So the path of truth is one that we must be willing to walk upon. It is one in which we must come into the fullness of our will. We say that we have free will, but the only will that is truly free is the will that is surrendered. Because to surrender your will is the ultimate will. Think of it. To surrender your will would take all of your will to do so. And so you only have free will when it is surrendered. Some would say, well, what do I surrender my will to? When we say we surrender our will, it is the will of the small I, is the will of the separate I. The I, the self that we are living day to day unconsciously, believing that we are separate from the world and even believing that we are separated within ourselves. Not seeing the purity of our individual self, the undivided self. To surrender the will is to let go of all separation. And then when you have let go of all separation and all attachment, then will is free. That is the only free will that actually exists. Because it is free. It is surrendered. When the will is surrendered, we follow not. We do not follow any other personality. No one personality or persona has the truth. And this is where religions have taken humanity for millennia. Telling people that they need to listen to a particular personality. That is what we call the cult of personality. And we have all been sold into this game of following other personalities. The ultimate one to follow is the undivided self, the individual, the one that does not see separation, does not see division, and has no division within themselves. They see everything as themselves, and they see themselves as no thing. Pure subjectivity, the witness, watching, observing, allowing. That is the life that is living in intensity of pure awareness. And then when you are open and aware and present to learning, there can be no division, which means no war. There is peace because you have not lost yourself in the all. You are it all. Everything that comes and presents itself to you is an aspect of yourself. And you are an aspect of all that is. It is not necessary for one to become a Christian. It is the ultimate path to become a Christ. It is not necessary for one to become a Buddhist. It is far more beneficial for one to become a Buddha, because that is our ultimate nature. The masters were ones that were undivided. They were a true individual. But what happens when these great masters, these awakened beings, these aware beings, enlightened beings, when they pass away from the body, in comes man to create a religion. It's easy to create a religion around someone that is dead. It's very difficult to create a religion around an individual, one that is not divided, one that does not follow the norm, one that does not follow others but follows themselves. They only follow themselves because they know themselves, not as a separate self, a separate personality, but they know themselves as the all. They know themselves as the entirety. They live with intensity because they are present to the truth of themselves. What they know is what they know. They believe not because they know the only thing that requires belief is fiction, that which they have not experienced, that which is not their inner knowing. When we are in that space of knowing, we are on the path of enlightenment. When we let go of all of the ideas, all of the thoughts. And what I mean by letting go of them is not identifying with them. We don't identify with what we see. We don't identify with others. We know them. We allow ourselves to learn and know them. We allow them to learn and know us. And so the cycle continues on, because there is only one pure consciousness that is experiencing itself through the multitude, and the multitude is experiencing the consciousness. We learn to not allow things to distract us from what we are. You can only know what you are through experiencing, always coming back to the purity of the experience itself, without bringing in thought, preference, judgment, criticism, complaint, or comparison. To compare is again just to separate ourselves. To complain is again just to separate ourselves. To criticize is to separate ourselves. We can truly become one when we become one within ourselves. The ultimate spiritual path is to become one within yourself, undivided, in the presence of the moment, in the intensity of the moment, being with it. And to be with it is to enjoy. That's what the word literally means, to be with. So even when the difficulty comes, be with the difficulty. And as we all know, the difficulty is the part in which we grow and learn more. People learn very little when they are happy. But often people are not happy either, because we complicate things. And the complication is the belief that there are so many fragments that are separate. But when you see it all as one, it is simple. It is very simple to be happy, but it is very difficult to be simple. And the religions down the ages have complicated life. And it is done by design to control people. To be religious is to be undivided, but to follow a religion is to divide. As we know, there have been many wars fought by religions. The same goes with politics. When it comes to politics, you follow or believe in a political view, a particular political view. You are again following and you are negating the true essence of yourself. To be spiritual is to know yourself. But to truly be spiritual is to know that you are not a separate self. You are the self, and the self is all. Following yourself is still even an illusion in itself, because you are following something other than what you are. When you are what you are, there is no need to follow. There's just pure being, pure presence, pure allowing, pure awareness. The spiritual path is the aware path, the path of intensity, the presence of the soul, the knowing of the self. Let there be light.